All right, let's move on to item number 7. Item number 7 is an administrative item, the City Public Notification Policy Update. Presentation by Omar Dadabhoy, Community Development Director. Welcome, Omar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. This is an item that was brought back before you per the direction of the City Council. You were provided with a report from Tri-Pepe Smith at a previous meeting that detailed some enhancements that could be made to the city's enhanced notification policy. And a number of items were selected. This agenda item would memorialize those items that the City Council wanted brought forth as part of the policy change. Just to go over them very briefly, the first is an increase in the radius map. So currently, when there's an application for an entitlement that comes before the Planning Commission and City Council, state law requires 300 lineal feet that we go out in each direction. The current policy is 500 lineal feet, and this would increase it to 1,000 lineal feet. So the difference between 500 lineal feet and 1,000 would be about 4 times the amount of coverage, area coverage, in terms of the circle that's covered by that radius. It's about 10 times more than required by state law. So going from 300 feet of state law to 1,000 feet would be about a 10 times increase. Then there are a number of items that had no hard costs associated with them, but had soft costs in terms of staff's time. Those were increased postings on social media sites for notifications, including Nextdoor, Twitter, and Instagram. Then we also included messaging in the city manager's update and the mayor's update, and then also summarizing notices in the city council agenda. And so that is generally what the enhancement would do, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Vice Mayor Bowie?
Yes, thank you so much, Omar, for the explanations. Rick, can you pull up the some of the image that I emailed to staff earlier?
Which one, 300, 500, or 1,000?
That's correct.
Yeah, which one?
Let's start with the state.
300.
300 first, so the public has an idea. So the 300, when you think about it, it's 300 in one direction, like or planning director just mentioned. So it's from one direction. So technically, it's 600 because it's 300 radius. So it's 600. And if you move it to the 500, as you could see the boundary, it gets much bigger. And this is state, and we have gone to 500. We have increased what the state has required us to do already. So that's 600. As you can see, the point gets farther out. And then if you go to a 1,000, so it's actually 2,000. It's not 1,000. So everything you look at, you have to multiply by 2 because it's a radius. So I think to what we have done, with our current ordinance is sufficient already. And as you know, in any business, once you increase, they say, oh, the builder has to pay for it, or whoever it is. Well, as we all know, any business, anything that's going to cost more than it's going to reduce their profit margin, where do you think the difference is going to go? They're going to build somewhere to the consumer at the end. They're not going to reduce their costs on their profit margin. They're going to pass it on somewhere to the consumer. So I think that to what we have is sufficient, and that's my point on this one. Thank you.
Okay, just to be clear, we're talking diameter versus radius. So the diameter would be 2,000 feet versus the radius of 1,000 feet. That's right. Just to clarify. Councilmember Constantine?
Okay, so here's the thing. There's no developer or business that's going to have a problem with notifying the community. No one. And as far as the footage goes, it all looks good as presented. However, the reality is what's around. It depends on what's around a specific project that we're talking about. I still think it's not sufficient. I'd like to see the whole city. And if I can't, 3,000 feet would be my compromise at this moment.
3,000?
Oh, yeah. We're talking about notifying the community.
Okay, Councilmember Harper?
I'm not in favor of increasing the notification radius. I think we talked about some things that would not incur any additional costs, such as kind of having a recap in the city council. It may be allowing more email options that people want to opt in for notifications, but sending out postcards to increase from 500 to 1,000 feet, I think is a waste of time and money.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question.
Councilmember Canine?
Yeah, I'm of the same thinking. I think with today's technology, there's a number of ways to get the messaging out. I agree, putting any more burden on businesses, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Again, there's so many other avenues to put those in an affected area to be notified. So I'm a little bit unclear. Are we talking sort of 300, 500? Is that
No, right
sort of moving in that direction?
Right now, we're at 5. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You should answer.
So current state law is 300 foot
300.
radius. The enhanced is 500 currently, and this would increase it to 1,000.
So we're going from 500 to 1,000 if we approve this. So my opinion on this one is that, any development or requirement for something like this, Omar, help us out. What would be the additional cost approximately for the postcards? I assume just ballpark?
I don't have the cost. It would quadruple, so because the increase is
Right.
4 times, so quadruple the current cost. I don't have the costing right now with.
If I remember correctly, we were talking like $8,000, I think it was, if I remember back.
Yeah, I
when
mean,
this.
so we'd have the printing cost and then the postage cost.
Right.
Postage cost is a little bit easier to anticipate.
Let's say it's $10,000. We'll just use round numbers. $10,000 on most of these projects are multi-million-dollar projects, tens of millions potentially. The cost of $8,000 to the developer, I don't think there's a single developer who would have an issue with it. It's not cost prohibitive. It's not going to be passed on to the consumer. It's a one-time cost. So with that, I would be, one of my 4 goals this year is to make sure we're informing the residents in transparency, and I think this falls in line with that, so I would support it.
I have a question.
Councilmember Constantine.
So at this time, is it appropriate to talk about the social media aspect, or are we just talking about the footage? Because I have an item on that.
The
that's
update before you includes everything.
Right. So with that being said, I was looking at my reports on social media for the last 2 weeks. I was on Nextdoor 7 hours in 2 weeks, and then 26 hours on Facebook, for a total of 33 hours for 2 weeks. So with that being said, I know that when we first heard this in the study session, I wasn't too thrilled about Nextdoor, but I didn't explain myself. And I wasn't really in support. I'm still on Nextdoor, just like I am Facebook, but more on Facebook for city stuff. My thing is with Nextdoor, it's not easy. I mean, you don't see posts as easy as you do on Facebook. So my question, city-related, is, are we going to be spending money? That's where I was concerned for both these platforms.
So we chose not to go, or the city council directed us not to. There was one proposal that included posting, but with advertising cost associated with it. So that wasn't the avenue city council chose. It was just free postings that could be done. So there's no hard cost.
Okay.
It's just soft cost in terms of staff's time in placing all the notifications on those different platforms.
Sure. So back to the footage, though. I mean, God, 1,000 feet is a drop in the bucket. That's nothing. You know how quick we can walk 1,000 feet? What are we doing?
Is there a question?
Yeah. Why don't we want the residents to know?
All right, at this point, it looks like we do have a blue card that came in, so if we could call the speaker.
Katy, Wright?
Welcome back, Katy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council. I have expressed my opinion on this particular item before, so it's probably no surprise that I submitted a blue card. Could you please, Rick, put the picture up again that was just showed to us? And it doesn't really matter which one you pick. There's something pretty plain about the picture. And of course, every situation isn't going to be identical, but would you all just look at what is like 1/4 of the picture of that diameter? What do you see? You see a park, you see grass. So that takes out, given geographically wherever the situation is, saying that it's a certain radius may or may not impact or notify people. That one's just obvious, that picture. You've seen a lot of issues, especially in the last year. I've been here, I've spoken. My opinion is my opinion. Things go the way they go. Sometimes you people vote the way I would like, sometimes it goes the other way. I understand. But at least I'm one of the weirdos that comes in and pays attention. Most people don't. My next door neighbor sometimes comes in and gives her opinion. She asks me, okay, Katy, what's going on now? My own neighbor, who I think is paying attention, she does not do social media. She does not do Nextdoor. She does not do Facebook. So unless you have someone in the neighborhood who is literally going up and down playing town crier, a lot of neighborhoods, people don't pay attention, and I get it. Props to Cheryl Brothers. She'll come up and say exactly her opinion right after me, if she chooses to, which is that it's a waste of time and money, which I just heard spoken just now. But how many times are you having situations where people are very upset their neighborhood has a McDonald's? They come in here hotter than any hot thing. I don't want to exaggerate or be vulgar. But these are people who are in the neighborhood, and the property owner has come and talked with them and tried to negotiate with them. How about all the situations where it's not someone right next door knowing what's going on? These situations, these decisions impact the whole city. They impact more than the city. And for you to have what appears to a citizen as a cavalier attitude that is 100% pro-business, I get it. It's important. It takes a village to run a city. It takes the revenue. I get it. That's not all there is to it. And a lot of people, I think you're seeing how angry some people are getting. So this is really comparatively a no-brainer to just communicate with people, and it's on someone else's dime who has big, deep pockets and can afford that. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Katy. All right. I think we have heard from everybody. We've heard from council. Any other comments from council? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Well, I mean, I make a motion to approve. I'd like more footage, but that's fine.
So the motion is to approve 1,000 feet as written. I will second that. And let's vote.
Item number 7 passes 3-2.
All right. There you go. How about that? Oh, the lady left who said we don't listen. There we go. All right, that's item number 7. Let's move